Good morning. Let's sit head, neck, and trunk straight. I'm beginning Kapalabhati, either matching my rhythm or at your own pace you choose. Om Bhurva Swaha Tat Savitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Diyo Yonaha Prachodayat. Om Bhurva Swaha Tat Savitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Diyo Yonaha Prachodayat. Om Bhurva Swaha Tat Savitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Diyo Yonaha Prachodayat. Om Bhurva Swaha Tat Savitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Diyo Yonaha Prachodayat. Om Bhurva Swaha Tat Savitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Diyo Yonaha Prachodayat. Om Bhurva Swaha Tat Savitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Diyo Yonaha Prachodayat. Om Bhurva Swaha Tat Savitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Diyo Yonaha Prachodayat. Om Bhurva Swaha Tat Savitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dio Yonaha Prachodayat Om Bhurvaswaha Tatsavitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dio Yonaha Prachodayat Om Bhurvaswaha Tatsavitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dio Yonaha Prachodayat Om Bhurvaswaha Tatsavitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dio Yonaha Prachodayat Om Bhurvaswaha Tatsavitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dio Yonaha Prachodayat Om Bhurvaswaha Tatsavitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dio Yonaha Prachodayat Om Bhurvaswaha Tatsavitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dio Yonaha Prachodayat Om Bhurvaswaha Tatsavitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dio Yonaha Prachodayat Om Bhurvaswaha Tatsavitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dio Yonaha Prachodayat Om Bhurvaswaha Tatsavitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dio Yonaha Prachodayat Om Bhurvaswaha Tatsavitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dio Yonaha Prachodayat Om Bhurvaswaha Tatsavitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dio Yonaha Prachodayat Om Bhurvaswaha Tatsavitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dio Yonaha Prachodayat Om Bhurvaswaha Tatsavitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dio Yonaha Prachodayat Om Bhurvaswaha Tatsavitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dio Yonaha Prachodayat Om Bhurvaswaha Tatsavitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dio Yonaha Prachodayat Om Bhurvaswaha Tatsavitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dio Yonaha Prachodayat Om Bhurvaswaha Tatsavitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dio Yonaha Prachodayat Om Bhurvaswaha Tatsavitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dio Yonaha Prachodayat Om Bhurvaswaha Tatsavitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dio Yonaha Prachodayat Om Bhurvaswaha Tatsavitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dio Yonaha Prachodayat Om Bhurvaswaha Tatsavitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dio Yonaha Prachodayat Om Bhurvaswaha Tatsavitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dio Yonaha Prachodayat Om Bhurvaswaha swaha. Tat saviturvarenyam. Bhargo devasya dhimahi. Dio yonaha prachodayat. Om bhurvasvaha swaha. Tat saviturvarenyam. Bhargo devasya dhimahi. Dio yonaha prachodayat. This point in your journey. We say this all the time, but it's always worth repeating. So whatever the body is feeling, the heart is feeling, those messages are going to travel via the breath to the mind. Reason follows feeling. So it's one thing to be aware of the breathing, to try to have the inhalations and exhalations equal in length, to have the breath smooth, continuous, refined. But it's next level to send feelings of trust, faith, commitment, devotion to the mind. Then things start to change. And while we're here doing some pranayama, be really honest. Why are you here this morning? Why did you unroll the mat? Why did you decide to do a practice today? Or more specifically, why did you decide to do a practice with us at Yoga Ecstasy or Traditional Yoga Society? For me personally, my practice is the best thing in my life. There is nothing or no one that I would give up my practice for. That's why I get on the mat. That's why I do my practice. What would you willingly give up? Or what would you give up your practice to go and partake in something in the world? To go out with some hot chick? Or to do some candy flipping? Or to go to a family gathering? Or work? You're like, oh, I'm was so busy from work, I can't do my practice. Then practice isn't that important to you. You make time for what is important to you. And it's time that we start being honest about what is important. I'm so tired, I just can't do my practice today. Your friends or somebody that you've been jonesing for calls and wants to get together. Suddenly you have all the energy in the world. Suddenly you were invited to go someplace by something that, a place to be seen. Suddenly you have the energy to do that. Then be honest, your practice isn't that important to you. A few more rounds here. You build a life to support what is important to you. So if practice is important to you, you build a life that supports that practice. I'm not talking about going and living in a cave. I'm talking about building a practice that helps you become a better person. Colleague and myself were talking after one class and talking about doing something on a Friday, and she said, well, just so happens all my Fridays are free. Because she has to be back to do a practice at 9:30. Go ahead, finish this round. Unless you want to stay longer, by all means, stay longer. Otherwise, find yourself in a seated posture. And let's get ready for Nature the I Am On. Go ahead and bring the right hand, come up 6 inches in front of the nose, left hand behind the mouth. Opening the eyes, focusing on that front thumb, seeing 2 thumbs behind, alternating to the back thumb, 2 in front. Moving between the 2.
This is pretty interesting in contact then.
I can imagine.
You said just one contact in?
Yeah,
You lost one because of the fire.
I've seen like 3 blurry thumbs.
Next time the eyes approach the front thumb, release the thumbs into the eyes, blink and shut. Allowing the eyes to remain shut, begin to make disc traveling to the left around the back of the head, varying the size and the speed. So make the disc more horizontal, so parallel to the floor and ceiling. Next time the eyes approach the starting point, allowing the eyes to stop and then reverse. Next time the eyes approach the starting point, allowing the eyes to stop, to soften to the back of the skull. Bringing the palms together, rubbing them together, getting lots of heat, lots of energy. When you feel that heat, cup the palms over the eyes, taking the energy from the crown chakra, directing it through the arms, the forearms, the palms, back into the eyes. And when the heat begins to dissipate, gently give the eyes, temples, cheeks, anywhere that needs any extra touch or healing this morning. When you are ready, open the eyes up. Give the legs a little shake. So we have some hip lubricating on the table today. You feel free to use a block. That'll give you a little extra lift, make it a little bit more functional for some of us. So take your right foot. So let's start low before we take it up. So right foot, so the ankle, I want it off the side of the thigh. Really flex through the right foot and then slide the left leg back. You do not have to use the block, but sometimes it's kind of fun just to try things a little differently. And you might find that gives you a little more space and a little more breathing room to do what you need to do here, which is expand. Okay, let's see here. Good morning, Darden. And we see Linda. I don't know who else is there. Linda actually got a message from the universe loud and clear on Friday about what she needs to do. She needs to sit and meditate. It's what we all need to do. That message is for all of us, but it was very clear. She received a message, I'll just sit here and meditate. And as always, just be mindful when we get to the second side, the differences between the two sides. So something to be mindful with, so we know that we store our stuff in the body. All of the body is in the mind, but not all of the mind is in the body. So it's really mindful, especially if we're holding a pose for a bit, if something starts to surface, be with it, focus on the breath, and if you start to attach a feeling to it, then that's going to become bigger. So if something starts to arise, set yourself up as just the watcher. You're just observing. Try to keep the spine as long as you can. That kombucha chat we talked about. We had a fire here last night and we were talking about digesting. Everything that you experience, you must digest. So if you spend time in the world constantly having these experiences, you have to digest all of them. And it's so much harder to digest those experiences than if you are sitting and repeating the name of God. It's like if you eat a box of Twinkies, it's going to be so much harder to digest that box of Twinkies than it is to digest some steamed kale with a squirt of lemon on it. But not only by repeating the name of God or contemplating God or doing a practice, focusing on the breath, go ahead, release. So the same thing, slide it out. And then you're going to do this opposite side. And bring it up. It was most certainly loud and clear. Some messages aren't so clear because our minds aren't so clear, but that one, whew, that was very, very clear. But the more we do a practice, the more we repeat the name of God, then the easier it becomes to digest all of the other experiences that we've had. Not just in this lifetime, but in previous lifetimes. We humans have free will. And the free will is either we love God and we work towards God, or we don't. We choose the world. You either choose God or you choose the world. There's no in between. So I'm going to have time for God after I finish X, Y, and Z. If you don't make time for God in your life now, God's not going to show up at the time of death. And you will leave afraid. You will leave full of fear, full of doubt, full of confusion. That's just the way it works. This is why I encouraged you guys to do that practice several months ago. You wake up every day fully assuming that this is going to be your last day alive. And one day you will be right. So if it is your last day alive, what really is important? Is really getting that piece of ass that important? Is really having that family gathering that important? Couple more breaths. Okay, go ahead and release. Push the legs forward. You can use the second block if you want. If you need to shake them, go ahead. Otherwise, I would like for you to try to have the thighs parallel to the short line of the mat, and then have the shins parallel to the long line of the mat. And then you can stay right here. You can walk it forward. You can come on blocks. You can stay high. So we would really like 90 degrees as much as possible. So look to see if you get a nice little right angle there on both sides. Stay high or go low, it doesn't really matter. The feet, you can adjust the feet to whatever feels like, oh yeah, that's gonna work for me today. Jai Sitarama, Jai Sitarama. So a few really, really, really fluid breaths here. So part of this kombucha chat was obviously about digesting. But probably the biggest thing to take away when we have digested our experiences and we have a right relationship with those experiences, then this magical thing happens. We start to cultivate faith. And faith goes into devotion, goes into commitment, dedication. Because when we can look at things and see them clearly, because we have digested it, then we start to have this faith that everything happens exactly as it should happen. Just because we can't see the cause and effect, just because we can't see the seeds that we planted in previous lifetimes, we know that the fruits that we are reaping, the fruits that we are harvesting, are from our own doings, from what we have planted. We go through these experiences for ourselves. And when we have that right relationship with those experiences, we start to unburden the heart. And then when we start to free the heart, the God light that is right behind the heart begins to be seen. But unless you have faith, it's not going to happen. which means you have to digest. Okay, go ahead, release, bring it up. So push over to all fours, but take one block. So I want the legs in the same line, and then you're gonna put the left knee on top of the block. Actually, I'll show you this way so you can see it a little better. So shoulders, elbows, wrists, spread the fingers, forefingers, middle finger parallel to each other, whatever works. Now, legs are in one line, but you're gonna lift that leg up and lower it down. Lift it up. So don't let the leg shift. We want us to keep it in the same line as the leg that's on the block, but you're just lifting up and down. So it's a gliding action. Don't let the leg go out to the left or right. Keep it right underneath the hip pointer and just glide it up and down. Control movement. Have some attention on the body. Don't let the body just flail around. That indicates that the mind is just flailing around. Have some focus here. You made the commitment to be here, so take advantage of it. A bit more. So going back to this whole faith business here. We know in yoga we don't barter with God. We don't. So when we're praying, right, we're either asking God for something, we're demanding, or we're bartering. Because we have no faith. That's a problem. How can you cultivate faith if you're trying to barter for an outcome that you want, the ego wants? Faith is saying, hey, I'm trusting this outcome.
It makes a lot of sense. Because a lot of times when people are asking of God, it's not really them asking, it's the ego.
Who are we to ask God anyway? God, if you give me this, I'll work in the soup kitchen for 5 months. And what is it we want? I want that job. I want to pass that test. I want that girl. I want that boy. I want that house. I want that car. God, if you give me worldly stuff, I'll go and help out at the soup kitchen. Lift and hold. 18. Try to keep that knee right underneath the hip. 17. 16. 15. 14. 13. 12. 11. 10. 9. 8. 7. 6. 5. 4. 3. 2. 1. Lower it down, just hovering above the floor. Keep it off the floor. 18. 17. Try not to lean to the leg that's on the block. Try not to lean to the side. 16. 15. 14. 13. 12. 11. 10. 9. 8. 7. 6. 5. 4. 3. 2. 1. Go ahead, release it. Shift the block. And you start the same thing. We've said this a lot. We don't need, we're not capable of understanding God's plan. But we sure can learn to trust God's plan. But that goes back to we must digest our experiences so that we can see things, feel things properly, correctly. The spiritual journey is arduous. It's tough. You have to be committed to do the work. If you want to make progress, you've got to commit to it. Bit more. Try to keep the knee underneath the hip. Lift and hold. 18, 17, 16, 15. Try not to lean to the right too much. 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lower down just a hair above the mat. 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Go ahead, release. Scoot the block out of the way. Keep it nearby. Press back, downward facing dog. So if you choose to, anyone at home, if you choose it, or here, you can do tree pose instead of what we're doing next. If you want to make this more challenging, step on the block with the left foot. You do not have to use the block, but you're going to, so downward facing dog, but I want you to take the block to the back and you'll step on the block with the left foot. You do not have to use the block. And remember, if you choose to, you can always do tree pose. Okay, so from here, so from downward facing dog, take your right foot, take the ankle to the outside. So just like we started with on the ground, so right ankle to the outside of the left thigh and walk it back. And you can use the second block as a little wedge if you want. You don't have to, if you can. So we want to have the foot on the outside. So this is balanced, but we're also really stretching and looping the hip here. Hands can be on the floor, the block, or the heart. Block, no block, or just tree. You can do Vrikshasana perfectly fine. So ankle, just like we did at the beginning of the class, ankle to the outside, flex that foot so we're not crossing the legs over. If you're feeling like, oh, yep, this is a bit much, do tree pose. Nice bend with the left leg. Walk the hands back. So the hands are, you want to have the hands underneath the torso, underneath the shoulders, or at the heart. Focus on the breath. Just trying to stretch out a little bit here. Bonus, we get to add some balance. Bonus, a little bit of strength. Couple more breaths. Okay, if you are on the block, I want you to stay on the block and you're going to come up. If you're not on the block, go ahead, come off, stand on the block. So you're going to lift up, you're going to come all the way up. When you get up, release the foot, and you can use the hand at the wall if you want. So the same thing that we did on the floor. So basically you're going to get a slight bend in that standing leg. Now that leg that is on the block is no longer allowed to move. So this could be where you could have a hand on the wall because the tendency is for that leg to move. So now what you want to do is you want to lift and lower. So the leg that is on the block is not allowed to move. Keep it bent and just up and down with that opposite leg. We do this a lot. But that's not isolating and getting the hip involved. You want to feel that same gliding action that we felt on the floor when we were on all fours.
Bring it all the way down to the floor of the foot.
Mm-hmm. Don't bend that left leg so much. Keep it.
Don't bend it so much.
Well, don't move it so much either. Yep. Good, Kyler. Yeah.
It's so hard not to try to use the left leg.
It is, yeah, exactly. And we're wanting to really focus on the hip. Yep. So it should be the same feeling that when we were on all fours. If it's not, the left leg's getting too involved here. Okay, go ahead. Keep the leg up. And then just take it down and then walk it forward into downward facing dog. So the block is now going to make it a little bit more challenging. Keep that right leg extended as straight as you can now. Come to the ball of the left foot. If you need to remove the block, go for it. Press the heel back towards the floor. You do not have to have the block underneath that foot, not required. Do that 7 times. At the end of the 7th, you'll go back to downward facing dog, and you'll slide the block over, and we'll start the second side. Try to keep those hips level. So when you get to the second side, remember what we're going to do is we're going to take the foot across. You do not have to use the block here. You can go straight to tree pose. Ankle to the outside. Blocks or no blocks. Hands underneath on a block. A nice bend now. You have permission to really bend this leg here. Jaya Sitarama. So how much do you really trust God? How much do you really trust that everything is happening exactly as it's supposed to happen? How much faith do you have? How much conviction do you have? That faith, when you start cultivating that, that's going to keep you coming back to the mat. That's going to keep you coming back to the practice. And the more you come back to the practice, the more you start digesting things. The more you want to do the practice, the more you digest. It's just amazing how it works together. But if you're not digesting an experience, you won't see that it happened exactly as it should happen, as it should have happened. Which is going to leave you feeling angry, agitated, doubtful, confused. And believing that the practice isn't working. A bit more. Couple more breaths now. Okay, so you know what's going to happen next. You're going to bring it all the way up, lower that leg. Get a bend now in the right leg, and the right leg is not allowed to move. Hand on the wall if you need it to make sure that that leg doesn't move. You want the gliding action. Up and down you go. There's a story, I can't remember the guy's name, but he was a missionary in India, and he was contracted something, became very sick, and the way he tells the story is that he was praying for God to cure him, to take care of him, and to get rid of this disease. A couple more breaths, or a couple more ups and downs. How is it different? And during this time, he also made the comment that Gandhi was a very good person, but somewhere along the lines that if he only knew Jesus, he would be that would be his end. So he's a good person, but if he only knew Jesus. Okay, now we're gonna get ready. So swing the leg back, walk the hands forward, take it down. You're gonna come into that downward facing dog, so walk the hands forward. Same thing 7 times. And at one point in his journey, he quit praying to God to cure him. And he said, God, I trust you, whatever you need to do. I completely trust you. At the end of the 7th, we'll switch the block back to the opposite side, but you do not have to have the block on the opposite side. You do not have to use the block because this makes it quite a bit more challenging. So the same thing, you'll walk it back, you'll bring it up. And this is where the wall can be handy because we want to really isolate because we're really trying to lube the hips. So you're going to bring the leg forward, turn the toes back. So you're trying to turn the toes straight back towards the arch of the foot. So the wall can kind of help stabilize you. Now, begin to make big circles. Don't let the foot, so we're not moving the ankle. Keep the foot in one position and make the circles. Try to keep the toes turning back towards the arch of the foot. So he had this revelation, this breakthrough, where he surrendered to God and he trusted God completely. And what I found hearing his story, reading his story, was that also, shortly after that, he had met with Gandhi again, and he said he had to take back everything he said because Gandhi, to him, was the only true Christian he had seen, had ever met. Which is really powerful. Okay, reverse it. So once he surrendered, right? So we're just reversing those circles. Once he let go, once he quit praying to God, he was able to digest that experience. Then he was able to see another human being more clearly. And pause. Just wherever you are, just pause. Now take the leg, so wherever you are, just move it so that it's straight out to the side and draw the toes back. Now bend the standing leg, so keep that leg lifted and push up and down 9 times. It's a perfect example of when we digest something, we have more clarity. How can we have clarity if our thoughts are so constipated because we've not digested anything?
We're pushing out or up?
Just the standing leg that's on the block, bend it and push it straight. So the leg that's out to the side, don't do anything, just keep it there. Then you'll take the foot to neutral, bring it back, same thing, lower down, walk to downward facing dog. Block or no block, balls of the foot, balls of the feet, and back to the heel, 7 times, and then we'll do the second side. You might get a little cramp in the hips too. That's good. So 7 times downward facing dog, and then you'll switch the block. You walk it back, turn those toes in, lift it out, make the circles. Remember, when the subject changes, the object also changes. So when we start changing our minds, our feelings, because we are digesting properly, then the way that we perceive, our understanding also changes. We have more clarity. When we have more clarity, we have more faith. Reverse the circles. You cannot have clarity with a confused mind. You cannot have faith with a confused mind. Just not possible. Okay, wherever you are, pause. Okay, now take it straight out to the side. Draw all the toes back so the foot turns up and down 9 times with that standing leg. Yep, and then back into downward facing dog. Up and down 7 times. Ball of the foot, back to the heel. You decide, block or no block. Then you can scoot the block out of the way. Drop to all 4s after you've done your last one. You can have the knees unblocked if you want. Or one knee, because the other knee is going to be lifted. So you're going to lift the leg up, and I want you to make big circles. Really flex the foot and make those big circles. Reverse the circles. Somebody used to say it, it's in the Bhagavad Gita, a confused mind is not fit for any path. And if you are not digesting, you have a confused mind. Okay, the next time you get the leg, try to have it so it's at 90 degrees and have the thighs parallel. Try to have the shin and thigh parallel or perfect or 90 degrees. Now you're just going to lower down and lift it up. Lower down, lift it up. Lower down, keep it going now. Up and down. Just keep it going. So we know Agni is Lord of the Fire. So Agni had received a curse that he would have to consume everything with his fire. So he pulled back. And that created a lot of havoc. Lift and hold. 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lower it down. Second side. So make those big circles. Doesn't matter which direction you want to go, you're going to switch. So Brahma changed it a bit and made it that when you digest, when you consume it properly, when you digest it properly, then there's a purity. You are awakened. And that's what happens. So that is a boon that we have received. When we digest it properly, then we have clarity of thought. Reverse. And then when we have clarity of thought, we have a less confused mind. We have more faith, more conviction. Okay, when you get to that 90 degrees pause, and you start lowering it up and down. And then guess what? You're ready to begin to tread the path. The path to know yourself. So it would really be beneficial for us with every situation. Ask yourself, am I seeing this clearly? Am I seeing this with clarity? Do I have right thinking here? Pause. And if you're not sure, seek out someone that you trust that does have better thinking. Oh, sorry, that was pause yourself.
Okay.
Okay, now lift and hold. Now we there. But only seek out someone if you're actually going to listen to them. Well, a confused mind is not fit for any path. The sickest person needs the doctor, but if the person doesn't want to take the medicine, it's not going to help. Lower down. Back to the first side. So just a few. So lift it up, thigh parallel to the floor, flex the foot, and just pump it up and down. Yoga's the medicine. There is no life hack. There is no quick fix. You must practice a long time, which means lifetimes. And release, switch sides. And release, back to all fours. Okay, swing the legs left or right, whichever way you don't want to. Come to the back. Take the right leg, wrap it over the left. You can either just squeeze the legs in, you can flex the feet, you can hook the ankles underneath and on top. You can work on taking the shins so they're parallel to the short line of the mat. So you've got options. You can take the arches of the feet and draw it in. This should feel really nice. Okay, you can stay right here. If you want, roll it up. And you can come forward. You can take the legs back so they're same thing. Parallel to the short line of the mat. You can stay on the ground and you can come forwards. You can sit on a block, that'll give you a little extra elevation. That can help quite a bit. Think about your confused mind this way. Say you're trying to walk a mile in a straight line, but you are just standing there spinning in circles. You will never be able to walk that mile if you're just standing there spinning around in circles. That's what happens with that confused mind. We cannot make progress. Eventually you'll get dizzy and you'll just collapse. And once the head stops spinning, then you might be willing to start doing the work. Otherwise, you'll stand up and you'll just start spinning again. You might try it a little differently. You might spin the opposite direction. Okay, go ahead and release. Take it back. Switch it. Start the same thing on the back. Again, with the opposite leg on top. Maybe God is too big of a word for us to comprehend. Actually, pretty sure. So when we asked that question earlier, we were talking about free will. You either are walking towards God or towards the world. Put it in words that you can understand. You're either walking towards peace, contentment, understanding, happiness, or you're walking towards attachment, aversion, misery, roll it up, or stay on the back. So maybe think about that when you start making decisions in your life. Did you just roll up on the block?
Yeah.
Nice.
Just like roll back down and propped up and then roll back up and propped down. So it worked.
Nice. You're either walking towards living joyfully, dying gracefully, or existing in misery and dying in pain. And confusion. And the beautiful thing is you get to decide. the inhalation, go ahead and bring it up. And this time just push the legs forward. And go into Paschimottanasana.
You said that Paschimottanasana removes anger?
You can let go of things from the past, which
From the
could be.
past, right.
And many things that we hang on to from the past do create anger. Or fear, because we're afraid the same things aren't happening again. With the inhalation, bring it up. Right leg comes in. You can bend it. I mean, you can take it to the outside or inside. You can bend the left leg if you want. You can go into that twist. Unwind, take it to the second side. Did your back just pop? I thought I heard it pop.
Yeah, I did both ways.
Nice. And then unwind. And let's go into the back. Let's get ready for relaxation. When you get to the back, make any adjustments so the body can become totally still. Yikes. Totally still. Have a lid. Then we allow the space of the crown of the head to relax. The space in between the eyebrows. Relax. Temples. Relax. Eyes. Nose. Mouth. Relax. Chin, jawline, ears. Relax. Neck, throat. Relax. Shoulders, upper arms, elbows, forearms. Relax. Wrist, palms, fingers. Relax. Tailbone, lower back, middle back, upper back. relax. Chest, belly, all the internal organs, relax. Hips, buttocks, relax. Thighs, knees, shins, calves, relax. Ankles, heels, arches, tops of the feet, balls of the feet, toes, relax. The entire body has become totally, completely relaxed. Nature never discriminates. It has made the same knowledge equally available to everyone. When the mind is calm and clean, it can get all the ideas. Nothing is impossible for the mind. If it is completely free from any selfishness, from attachments, aversions, it is always clean and calm, always serene. In such a mind, knowledge simply dawns by itself. Now returning to the breath, directing it to the toes and the fingers. Gently begin to wiggle them. And then allowing the body to stretch and to move. As if for the first time today. And when it is ready, bringing it to a seated posture. Om Triambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardanam Orva Rugmiva Bandhanan Mrityor Mokshiyam Amritat Om Triambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardanam Orva Rugmiva Bandhanan Mrityor Mokshiyam Amritat Om Triambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardanam Orva Rugmiva Bandhanam Mokshiyam Amritat Om Triambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardanam Orva Rugmiva Bandhanan Mrityor Mokshiyam Amritat Om Triambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardanam Orva Rugmiva Bandhanan Mrityor Mokshiyam Amritat Om Triambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardanam Orva Rugmiva Bandhanan Mrityor Mokshiyam Amritat Om Triambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardanam Orva Rugmiva Bandhanan Mrityor Mokshiyam Amritat Om Triambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardanam Orva Rugmiva Bandhanan Mrityor Mokshiyam Amritat Om Triambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Orva Rukmiva Bandhanam Mrityor Mukshiyamamritan Om Triambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Orva Rukmiva Bandhanam Mrityor Mukshiyamamritan Om Triambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Orva Rukmiva Bandhanan Mrityor Mukshiyamamritat Om Triambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Orva Rukmiva Bandhanan Mrityor Mukshiyamamritat Om Triambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Orva Rukmiva Bandhanan Mrityor Mukshiyamamritat Om Triambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Orva Rukmiva Bandhanan Mrityor Mukshiyamamritat Om Triambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Orva Rukmiva Bandhanan Mrityor Mukshiyamamritat Om Triambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Orva Rukmiva Bandhanan Mrityor Mukshiyamamritat Om Triambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Orva Rukmiva Bandhanan Mrityor Mukshiyamamritat Om Triambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Orva Rukmiva Bandhanan Mrityor Mukshiyamamritat Om Triambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Orva Rukmiva Bandhanan Mrityor Mukshiyamamritat Om Triambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Orva Rukmiva Bandhanan Mrityor Mukshiyamamritat Om Triambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Orva Rukmiva Bandhanan Mrityor Mukshiyamamritat Om Triambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Orva Rukmiva Bandhanan Mrityor Mukshiyamamritat Om Triambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Orva Rukmiva Bandhanan Mrityor Mukshiyamamritat Om Triambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Orva Rukmiva Bandhanan Mrityor Mukshiyamamritat Om Triambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Orva Rukmiva Bandhanan Mrityor Mukshiyamamritat Om Triambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Orva Rukmiva Bandhanan Mrityor Mukshiyamamritat Om Triambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Orva Rukmiva Bandhanan Mrityor Mukshiyamamritat Om Triambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Orva Rukmiva Bandhanan Mrityor Mukshiyamamritat Om Triambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Orva Rukmiva Bandhanan Mrityor Mukshiyamamritat Om Triambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Orva Rukmiva Bandhanan Mrityor Mukshiyamamritat Om Triambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Orva Rukmiva Bandhanan Mrityor Mukshiyamamritat Om Triambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Orva Rukmiva Bandhanan Mrityor Mukshiyamamritat. Tvameva Mata Chapita Tvameva Tvameva Bandhus Chasaka Tvameva Tvameva Vidya Dravinam Tvameva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinaha Sarve Santu Niramayaha Sarve Vajrani Pashantu Ma Kashchit Dukkha Bhagavit. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. May all be happy. May all be healthy. May all experience prosperity in everything. May all be free from suffering. Om peace, peace, peace. Let me cherish those that God cherishes, those that God forgives. Let me serve those that God serves. Let me love those that God loves. Jai Shri Ram. Thank you. See you tomorrow.